Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Equibase Racelands Breeders' Cup podcast, looking ahead to championship weekend. And we're returning to Del Mar, where the turf meets the surf, for 14 championship races, over $30 million in prize money given out. I'm Christina Blacker from FanDuel TV. I'll be leading the conversation this evening. We do have a special guest who is going to join us in just a little while, but as you can see on screen, joining me to handicap these races, Dan Piazza, our NHC champion from 2024, bottom left-hand side of the screen. Scott Coles is with us as well, a regular on these Racelands podcasts, the 2019 NHC champion. Ben Kudla of Equibase and of the Inside Track podcast is with us as well. So, gentlemen, we are so looking forward to this big weekend. Dan, I'll ask you for a quick word first. As you approach the Breeders' Cup, how long would you say you are spending in studying and handicapping and watching replays and kind of getting your strategy in line?
To me, Christina?
Yep.
I've been working on it for the last 2 weeks. This week especially, as soon as the post positions came out, so I've been heads down all day today. I will be tomorrow as I travel out to California and prepare to play in the BCBC.
Certainly looking forward to that. Scott, how about you? Strategy-wise, are there any sequences that you really focus in on, whether it's some of those special wagers, the two-day wagers, anything in particular?
As much as I love to play Friday, I do much better when I don't. Not nearly as great with the 2-year-olds. But I am scouting right now just because of the way the races shook out. I kind of like playing some of the pick threes that connect with the classic, and then out of the classic into the dirt mile is where I have my eye right now. A little more work to do. Wife's 40th birthday this week, so I have other priorities, but I will be diving in during work as much as I can at any break that I get, and just kind of looking at the full menu, being as selective as possible, and some of the distractions will probably help me be a better bettor because I won't overbet.
And Ben, for you, how much of your time is dedicated to not only your own studying and handicapping, but just helping all the Equibase players, all the folks out there that are subscribers and that are regularly using Racelands to start their studying?
Yeah, we definitely ramped up on Racelands users and questions this past week with the entries coming out, and so getting tons of great questions and helping out Racelands. So if you do have any questions with Racelands, you can reach me at racelandsfeedback@equibase.com. But I was all in on Keeneland until Saturday, kind of bummed it's over now, and pretty much on Sunday till now been all in on Breeders' Cup.
We turn the page from Keeneland right into Breeders' Cup. Same thing here in Southern California, from the racing at Santa Anita down here to Del Mar. As I mentioned, we do have a special guest joining us. So I'm going to ask the gentleman on your screen to hold for just a second before we dive in to the form, and remind you that this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Morningline, morningline.io. This is how you can get involved in the game. Buy, trade, sell. Take a quick look at what they're all about, and then we'll welcome our special guest, Kenny McPeek.
Kenny McPeek and his champion horses are now a part of Morningline. With Morningline, I don't just watch the race. I invest in champions. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morningline. Own the game.
So we certainly hope that you have the opportunity to get involved, to own the game. And thanks to our new friends at morningline.io for sponsoring this podcast. As I mentioned, Kenny McPeek is our guest. Kenny, you have joined the Morningline team. And I understand that this is really from a big part of your inspiration to kind of share the game, to share your horses, and to share the experience as much as possible.
Well, I've always believed in innovation. I think we need to do things different in this sport to get people more engaged. I mean, other sports have fantasy and things like that, and this is more definitely out of the box on what other entities have done in horse racing. And myself, I'm going to learn a lot about all this as we go. But from my perspective, my job really doesn't change. I continue to manage horses that I handle. For those out there that are familiar with Magdalena Racing, in many cases I put groups together, and then I keep equity stakes in a lot of the horses that I buy and manage. And so I'm able to take a small percentage of those and offer them up. And in the case of Morningline, I think they really needed somebody to help them get a little push going. I'm going to say it a kickstart. I would love to envision there's a day that every horse has shares available on Morningline. And there'll be a learning curve on all this. I'm not going to tell you that I know exactly how this is going to play out, but I know that if we continue to do the same old, we're going to get the same old. And I think that fans out there might find this interesting, and I think it'd be important for them to go into it, look at it. There's going to be some learning. We want to figure out what they're happy with, what they're unhappy with, and in the meantime, we've put up blackout time. I own a percentage of blackout time, and he's going to run Saturday in the juvenile, and that's going to be exciting. And this is a horse that's got a lot of upside, and at the same time, matter of fact, you might very well make yourself a Derby candidate in the next few months. So a lot of this is new, but we're going to help everybody. Let's see if we can get something exciting going, and maybe change the game.
Yeah, so you're helping them out as a brand ambassador, as a trainer. You mentioned blackout time, who we'll see in the juvenile. Have you made other decisions yet in terms of what other horses from your barn are on offer or will be on offer soon, if anybody out there is interested?
Well, there's 1% of 17 that I put circles around that Morning Line has put on the site. And the valuation on those is different, as much as Torpedo and extremely high. Blackout Time would probably be the second highest, and then there's some other horses in there that are significantly, they're talented. Taken by the Wind. I've got a whole list of them, but for me, let's say I price them too low and they end up being stallions or Derby candidates, then I can actually lose money on all this. and then yet, if people buy into them and they don't work out, then I won't. But if a horse, I still own the majority of my shares. I mean, I have typically 10% ownership in most of the Magdalena horses, and in this case, there's only 1% offered out to Morning Line. And like I said, I think there's a bit of a there's a learning curve here, and I think people will find it really interesting how share prices rise and they may fall. But like I said, I'm not the back end side of it. I don't really understand all the math of it all. My job is going to continue to do what I do every day, which is get up, deal with a large group of horses, make sure we're making the right decisions. My team's taking great care. And I think people, if they invest in, they're going to be that much more interested in what we're up to and where we're running. And then obviously they're more interested in watching and even wagering.
Agree. Well, thank you for always being willing to give your time to share the horses. Torpedo Anna is the biggest example of that over the last several years, to innovate. I know how busy you are as a horseman, and so to give a little extra of yourself in this way is wonderful. Before I let you go, how's Mystic Dan? Are you looking forward to seeing him out there in the dirt mile?
Mystic Dan's doing super. I left Louisville, Kentucky at 6 a.m. this morning, and right now I'm here at Del Mar. So I'm at the Brigantine having an early dinner with some friends, and this is one of the best views in racing if you've never been here. And tomorrow, our horses are going to go to the racetrack probably 5:30 and 6:15, 5:30, 6:30 tomorrow morning, which is easy time for us because our Braves are going to be on East Coast time. But it's exciting to be back here again, and it's a great event. And let's hope we get through the weekend and something special happens.
All right, Kenny, we'll let you get back to your guests. Good luck this weekend. Thanks for the time. And we hope everybody can check out morningline.io to get involved.
My pleasure.
We'll say goodbye to Kenny McPeak, and we will bring back in our handicappers while we get everybody set. I do want to remind you all of the special offers that are available as we get through Breeders' Cup week. So first of all, free Equibase premium PPs for all Breeders' Cup races. That's on Equibase.com, courtesy of the Breeders' Cup. We also have the Racelens Breeders' Cup special offer, which is $99 Racelens quarterly subscriptions. That's normally $299. So you're getting about $200 off for that one. The promo code that you need is BC99, BC99. And then don't forget about the Race to the NHC as well. Series of weekly and exclusive free handicap content. Those are for Racelens Unlimited subscribers. The top players will move ahead with that in the Race to the NHC feeder contest. Then you can qualify for the Race to the Final 50. Beyond that, moving ahead to NHC 2026. And there's also an upcoming contest this weekend, November 1st, which is free for all Racelens Unlimited subscribers. So make sure that you are already involved. And again, that promo code is BC99. $99. Okay, just to get a little break from my voice. How about what we heard from Kenny McPeak? Ben, this is exciting, just seeing the opportunity to kind of buy, trade, sell. If you're a stock market fan, this could be an opportunity to play the horses in that way.
Wonderful idea, and I totally agree with Kenny. Bringing more people together to ultimately wager and be part of it and make money, and it almost kind of seems like a My Racehorse type of deal where a lot of micro shares and you just involve a lot of people, and I think that's what we have to do with horse racing is kind of involve more people.
I couldn't agree more. Get them in, get them involved, and hopefully you make some new fans for life. Okay, I'm going to kick us off here just in terms of the format to keep everybody updated. So we're going to go in depth through the distaff and the classic, and then we've all picked kind of an alternate race to talk about as well and to share some thoughts, and we'll chime in on those as well. Let's start with the distaff, and I'm going to kick us off in here. I went back and forth, and I think a lot of people did in terms of Nitrogen, Seismic Beauty. These two seem to be some of the more talented runners in the field, and certainly numbers wise, they kind of stand out. Drawing the rail for Nitrogen was ultimately what leaned me in the direction of Seismic Beauty. That's why I went the other direction. I think if you are looking at Nitrogen, there's so much upside. There have been some incredible 3-year-old fillies that have won this race. Torpedo Anna, that's certainly one of them, and it would be an illustrious list that I think she's capable of adding her name to. But with the inside post and the fact that she might get bottled up, she might kind of get shuffled back, and you need to be in striking distance here at Del Mar, I went with Seismic Beauty. I think she's winning her races so easily. She looks to be effortless out there. Daughter of Uncle Mo, she's 1 for 1 at the distance. I don't see it as any issue for her as she's moving ahead here this Saturday, coming off that 1.5-length victory. And then I filtered just as far as angles and trying to look for kind of a strong percentage to kind of hang your hat on. And this was with Bob Baffert, somewhat of an easy one. Bob Baffert off the layoff in stakes races with horses that were winners last out. It's an overwhelmingly high percentage that you get with winners. I think it's something like 41%. So Seismic Beauty is going to end up being the horse for me, but a big, prop to Nitrogen. I think she's an exciting filly. I wonder if the spinster took anything out of her, because it wasn't that long ago, just a month ago, that we saw her at Keeneland when she was second to Jin Jin, but I'll go that direction. Scott, how about you? Are you on the Seismic Beauty train, or did you go a different way?
So I was, and I still might be. I'm a little torn, though. I think it for sure deserving favorite, no doubt. Lots of speed, best figures by far, at least the ones I use. I worried about a couple things. I didn't exactly love the way she finished her last race, and I know I'm being nitpicky, but I just thought maybe lost a little interest, maybe just wasn't as competitive as I was hoping, didn't quite finish as easily as I'd liked. But the race before, at a longer distance, finished no problem. So, the distance isn't an issue. I just wonder if there was a little regression, and now we're coming off the layoff. The only 2 times, on debut, the horse took second, and off the layoff, the one time the horse was laid off, took second. So if there's anything to be super picky about, that situation. And the other part for me is that Jin Jin just ran a crazy good race on the front end, changing tactics. I don't think they're going to change that. So when you have Jin Jin and Seismic Beauty, who's going to make the lead? Jin Jin's pace figures on time form were faster last race. So either Seismic Beauty is going to have to run faster early, or is going to have to rate, which she's never really successfully done so far. So those are all things that I don't love, like backing the price the Seismic Beauty might be super short. So I'm going to use for sure, but I'm not as gung-ho on singling as I thought I would be once I dove in a little bit deeper. My pick would be Nitrogen if you can guarantee a couple things, that she'll break and run straight in the stretch, and I don't have confidence that she's going to be able to do either. And if she breaks poorly from the rail, like you talked about being shuffled back, she could be really shuffled back. And she has not broke the last 2 races. It's been pretty bad. One of them, the PPs didn't catch, but both races, not great. And then in the stretch is just all over the place, both the last 2 races. So those are all things that once it gets to the highest level of competition against horse like Seismic Beauty, you don't have that much room for error. She's been able to get away with it a couple times. And I see some vulnerability, but if she puts it all together, the horse could freak. Nitrogen is so talented, but is just such a frustrating horse because it just does so many weird things and veers out on the turn a lot. So I'm hoping the rail draw will fix that, or Nitrogen's going to shuffle out half the field into the turn. We'll see. But there's just so many things that if you actually took them all away, how many lengths Nitrogen could have won some of these races by is scary. But she's all over the place. So now, if in that scenario where they hook up on my tickets, if I'm skinny enough in other places, will be horses like Regald at a bomb price, even though the 2 wins that Regald has were in the slop. But the pace, if it fell apart, that is the horse that I want. And it's sneaky. But since coming over to Whit Beckman, the horse's form has improved quite a bit. Now I was going to have to take another huge leap forward, but things fall apart at 50 to 1 or whatever the horse probably ends up being. I'll take my chances with a little bit on that. And Alice Verte, we only saw 1 dirt race, and it was last year in this exact race. I don't think the horse was a little bit all over the place on that one too, but I mean, it's another horse that could pick up some pieces late. Dorth Vader, we'll see what price you get. I'm a little bit weary of a horse running what kind of seemed like her all-time best figure at 5 years old last race. I'm a little bit worried about a bounce there, but you never know. Horse tries really hard. So yeah, I'm a little bit of just because I have a little bit of issue with the two top horses, I'm gonna use some B's and C's here like I normally wouldn't. But again, it'll be a really fun race to watch.
That veering out on the stretch with Nitrogen, it's kind of what cost her the race to Gingin the other day at Keeneland. She can't afford to do that again against these horses. Dan, for you, is it one of the top 2 choices, or did you find a price in here?
Absolutely one of the top 2 choices, but I sort of see a lot of speed occurring in this, and I guess I'm going to kind of hope for a little bit of a pace meltdown, or sort of a meltdown between Seismic Beauty and Scottish Lassie and maybe Clicquot, and I'm sort of on Gingin over Seismic Beauty, sort of like a rifle shot. So, but a majority of my money would probably be on Seismic Beauty. That's where my value line ended up on, and just like everything about the horse. And Scott had a lot of great comments about all the other horses, and I agree with everything that he was saying there.
What price do you think is fair on her, Dan? What are you hoping to get on Seismic Beauty?
We had it at 6 to 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important, like with all of these, favorites, to establish where your line is. Ben, what about you? Are you going a different direction, or is it Nitrogen or Seismic Beauty for you as well?
Seismic Beauty, definitely be tough to beat, but at 9 to 5, I just don't know if she's really worth it. The breeding's impeccable. I mean, filly by Uncle Mo at Bendaglia d'Oro mare, actually bred in Maryland, which is pretty cool. Interesting to start her career, finished second by a neck on career debut to One Magic Filly at Del Mar in dirt sprint, and came right back to air by 5 lengths, going 6 furlongs in the dirt again at Del Mar. She did graduate as graded stakes winner, winning the Grade 2 Santa Margarita Stakes by 5 lengths in May, going this 1.8 distance over Splendora, who's gone over on to win her next 2 starts by combined 9 lengths, including a 5.5 length win in the Tranquility Lake Stakes at Del Mar in September. I was a little bit doubtful of this filly before the Grade 1 Clement El Hirsch at Del Mar on August 2nd, but she really proved me wrong. Off the layoff, won by a length and a half over Copian, who will face the boys in that Breeders' Cup Sprint. Royal Spa, who finished 4th in that Clement El Hirsch, came back to win the Grade 2 Locust Grove. She is 3 for 3 in dirt routes, but I think she definitely needs the lead, which could be tough in here. But Juan Hernandez gets the mount, and those two, Bob Baffert and Juan Hernandez, just ridiculous. What are they winning at 42% in like all races together over the past year, 36% in graded stakes races. So the numbers are all there, but I just think a lot of things are going to have to go right for her to win. So I did land on Nitrogen here. So I guess the other one, but 4 to 1 seemed pretty fair for me. I think she's just an incredible filly, and I do agree with everything, Scott, that you said. In the stretch there, she could have won by a lot more, or even won against Gingin there, but just an incredible filly, won on both dirt and turf, multiple graded stakes, and just narrowly missed by a nose from becoming a Grade 1 winner on both turf and dirt. Started her career on the turf, actually ran 3rd in last year's Juvenile Fillies turf really nice late rally going from 11th to 3rd from the 3rd and 4th points of call, and earned a 110 Equibase speed figure for that. Honestly, did not take much out of her. She went on to win 5 starts in a row, with 4 of those being graded stakes at Ginger Roo by half length, Grade 3 Florida Oaks by a half length, Grade 2 Appalachian at Keeneland by 2 1/4, Grade 2 Edgewood Stakes by 3 1/2 over Lush Lips, who came back to dominate the Teppan Stakes. And then she tried dirt on the sloppy Saratoga track in the Grade 3 Wonder Again Stakes. And yeah, all right, it was 3 horses, but just romped by 17 lengths on her first start on the dirt. And, last time out, she did run second by ahead of Gin and to Scott's point there down the stretch. But honestly, that day at Keeneland, I was out there, and there was quite a bit of a track bias in the front end. So, I do think that Nitrogen is going to be able to turn the tables on Gin. And a little race lens angle you can see up here. Over the past year, horses who finished second in a Grade 1 in their last start are coming back to win at 29% in all graded stakes races. Their next start from 94 starts. 58% in the money with a positive 14% return on investment. This includes horses like Sierra Leone, Fierceness, She Feels Pretty, Gosker, Good Cheer, Journalism Test Score, and then most recently, Lush Lips and Captain Cook at Keeneland. She has no problem shipping in 4 consecutive increasing Equibase speed figures, as you can see there, from the Edgewood 99 to a 105 to a 106 to a 107, 112 last time out. So, she's a little early speed, kind of a presser, so I don't think this one hole is much of a turn for me. So I'm gonna land on Nitrogen here for the distaff.
A lot of talk about Nitrogen, a lot for Seismic Beauty, a little bit of Gin in there as well. So that's quick look at our opinions for the distaff right in the middle of the day on Saturday. We're going to go to our sort of individual races now. I'm going to take you back to Future Stars Friday and focus in on the NetJets Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. It'll go as race number 7 on the program. Mile and a 16th is the distance in here. You'll have a lot of discussion about Tommy Joe, certainly, and a lot of talk about Percy's Bar, both those horses coming out of the Alcibiades. Originally, as they crossed the wire there, you saw Tommy Joe finishing second. Percy's Bar did get the better of her, but there was a little bit of bumping, deep stretch. And so Percy's Bar was DQ'd. She was placed second. Tommy Joe was elevated to the win. It's a little concerning, I think, if you're going to take too short of a price on Tommy Joe, just in that out of that race, it didn't really look like she wanted to go the full 2 turns. I'll give her a little bit of a pass in that she's a 2-year-old filly. It was her first try at the Router Ground. And I think right when she got bumped, she lost her focus. She lost her lead. She was all over the racetrack. She lost her momentum. And at the short stretch at Keeneland, you kind of can't afford for those things to go wrong. So I won't be shocked if she's able to somehow pull it off. Her mother, whose name was Mother, was a sprinter. So that's another kind of knock against her going the 2 turns. But she's certainly very classy and she will get a lot of attention. But I think as you start to kind of tear that race apart a little bit, you have to consider Explora for Bob Baffert. She does look very quick. She was the winner of the Oak Leaf last time out. But I'm actually going to go with a different horse here from Southern California, just to the outside, and that's the 8-horse Super Corridora for John Sadler. First of all, John Sadler has very quietly, significantly elevated his 2-year-old numbers. I think we focus so much on the Baffert horses, but if you look through all of these percentages, whether it's with 2-year-olds, over the distance and surface, every percentage for John Sadler in the high 20s, 30s, you're looking at some really strong numbers with her. Also, she's the daughter of Dunrunner, and that's kind of ultimately what pushed me in her direction. If you take a look back at her maiden breaking score, and yes, I know she's only a maiden, she's only won 1 race so far, but she split horses so decisively, and she just kicked clear with a lot of power. She was 8.5 lengths clear across the wire. They actually entered her in a turf race prior to that dirt race where she broke her maiden, just because they wanted to get the distance. I think they've always known that Super Corridora was going to be better once she had a little bit of added ground to work with. She's also the strongest late pace figure of the field. If you go to the pace projector page, look at those true odds, filter for late pace, she's going to be coming home pretty quickly in here. And I think she's also shown the ability to rate a little bit. So I don't think she'll be too close to the lead. I think you'll get her in a nice kind of stalking spot. Explora will definitely be evolved in the early stages. I think Meaning might be up there as well. But with some maybe shaky kind of shorter priced horses, it's going to be Super Corridora. For me in the juvenile fillies, I don't think we'll get that 15-1. I've heard quite a few handicappers actually kind of in her camp. I think she'll come down in price, but still I think she offers a little bit of value. So that's going to be my extra race Friday, Juvenile Fillies. We'll turn the page over to Saturday. And Ben, I think you're going to take us to the Filly and Mare Sprint, race number 4 on the program. Sweet Azteca will get a lot of attention in here. Who do you like, though, in the Filly and Mare Sprint?
I was all in on Tamara. Really great race, I thought, betting-wise. The Grade 1 Filly and Mare Sprint. 7 furlongs in the dirt, fillies and mares. Last year's winner was Soul of an Angel. I hit pretty good on her, so, I figured might as well. We'll run it back for the the Filly and Mare Sprint. A nice competitive field of 10, and I landed on the 4th full out of 4 times Eclipse Award champion. 11-time Grade 1 winner, Hall of Famer Beholder. Tamara won career debut, you can see, by 2 1/4 lengths, going 6.5 on the dirt at Del Mar, earning a 95 Equibase speed figure. Came right back 3 weeks later and dominated that Grade 1 Del Mar debutante after being bumped at the break as well. Earned a career best 106 Equibase speed figure with Hall of Famer Mike Smith aboard, going the 7 furlong distance on the dirt. Same here at Del Mar in September 2023. So that was a while ago, but takes a little layoff. Runs in the 2023 Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She sustained a leg injury during that race. She finished 7th by 8 1/4 lengths. That was the last time we saw her for a year. Came back in November of 2024. Run second by a nose, an allowance optional claimer. Going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Earned a 95 Equibase speed figure. And at that point, everyone's all right. She's back. Here we go. Tamara all the way. And if I kind of remember correctly, she did have a fever going into her next start. So they scratched her, and shortly after that, she kicked the rail during training at Santa Anita, and again, sidelined for nearly a year. Resurfaces early in October this year, romps by 3.5 lengths in the Grade 3 Chillingworth Stakes at Santa Anita, going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt with none other than Mike Smith aboard, earning a 105 Equibase speed figure. I thought it was a very impressive performance off that long layoff, and just my own thoughts, this filly does not need to prove herself anymore at all. Especially with her bloodline. She's a proven Grade 1 winner. So they just must have all the confidence in the world. Not only bring her back from a year-long layoff, but twice she's come back from a year-long layoff. And Hall of Fame trainer Richard Mandela, he would not be running her if she's not 100%. And I think this has been kind of the plan for a while, to get a Breeders' Cup win under her belt. And Mandela does do very well with horses who won last time out. Over the last 3 years, he's winning at 31% in graded stakes races with winners last time out. 14 wins from 45 starts, 62% in the money with a positive 70% return on investment. Mike Smith back aboard. He's been aboard every single time. So I love this filly. I thought 7-2 was pretty fair. And I was a little bit scared of Hope Road, the 8. I saw her. I was fortunate enough to see in the personal, or the Grade 1 Ballerina, excuse me. She just looks just gorgeous. So, I'm scared of her as well. And obviously Sweet Azteca. But I just think Tamara's just got all the class in the world. So I landed on her for the Filly and Mare Sprint.
She would certainly do her mother proud. Beholder, one of the few to have won 3 Breeders' Cup races, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, the Distaff a few times, and her daughter Tamara. 7-2 on the morning line. Mike Smith will be aboard for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. So that's race number 4. We'll skip ahead a couple more races on the program, but we are going to stay with the sprinters. And Dan, you'll take us to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let us know who you like in the sprint this year.
Yes, race 6. I sort of, it's a great connection following after Ben, because I sort of see that as an angle that Spendthrift and Mandela are doing here. They had both horses entered into the Filly and Mare Sprint, and both of them have a very good chance of winning that race. And so by splitting them up, I believe Tamara is the horse that's going to win the Filly and Mare Sprint. And I like Hopion in the sprint, race 6. The top contenders, we've got 14 entrants in this race. I really see 5 horses as being the top contenders here for sure. Ben Toronado, he's coming in as the speed dimming. He's got multiple G1 Grade 1 wins, very dominant at 6 furlongs. This race is shorter than the Filly and Mare Turf. The Filly and Mare Turf will be run at 7 furlongs. This is going to be run at 6. Ben Toronado, fast early pace horse, proven class. What we've seen in some of his prior races, he's vulnerable if he gets a little pressure a little bit early. I see Mulligan as being a threat to us, being, a stalker with a strong leg kick. Consistent drives with the pace melts down here. And that's absolutely, I think it's going to be a fast pace in this race. Bay City Lights, another contender here that I think we need to be worried about. It's a California speed horse, stablemate to Copion. Loves Del Mar, great gate speed. I see the expected fractions to be fast here. I see the quarter mile, 21.8 to 22.6, something around that. Half mile is going to go in 44. Maybe they finish in a minute 8. I think Ben Tornado and Bay City Lights will duel early on the lead, and Copion's going to sit off of them. If we've looked at any of the prior races, especially the distaff just ran in Kentucky, you can see he sat there mid-pack, and then he pounced, and he's got a great late kick. Del Mar dirt historically favors dirt, so if we're looking at any track biases, but if the pace is too hot, pressures and stalkers always have a chance in these racers, and I think that Copion is going to have a great chance in this race. If I look what I'm predicting here in my betting strategy or betting structure, it would be Copion over Ben Tornado, and I'd probably put Mulliken in third.
Copion, Ben Tornado, Mulliken in the race, the filly, Copion to take it. And that would be quite the start to Championship Saturday for Spendthrift. If they come home with Tamara, if they're able to get it with Copion, could be on the heels of a big Future Stars Friday. They have Ted Noffey as the favorite for the juvenile. We talked about Tommy Joe, perhaps being able to get the 2 turns in the juvenile fillies. So that could be part of a huge weekend for them. They have Brave Deb in the juvenile fillies turf as well. Scott, you're going to take us a little bit later on the program, and we'll circle back to the Classic in just a bit. But take us to race 11, the Dirt Mile. Let us know who you like in there.
Yeah, so we'll just start with the True Odds page, and I guess we can start off with late pace just to have it up there. But it's no secret, if you ever watch any of this, that I'm a huge fan of Nisos. That's always a dangerous thing to have a bias, but I do. I just think the horse is a monster. I mean, there's plenty of people have called the best horse in training, and I just don't think we've even seen his best race yet. I was very much looking forward to betting him in the Pacific Classic. It was really unfortunate that didn't work out. And I think the path was Pacific Classic, Breeders' Cup Classic. If that test was passed, I think that was the plan. Don't love when plans fall apart, but the horse has run all but one race at a mile or less. Been pointing to this race for long enough where I'm comfortable with it. I mean, that was always the backup plan, and it seemed like Bob has been talking about it for a while. And I think the horse has been doing fairly well. I will wait for the Clocker reports and any insight Christina has on. Have you watched any workouts or seen any of Nisos' works?
He's really good, Nisos right now. And Baffert was saying just that when Nisos is on his game, he's pretty much unstoppable, and he sounds really confident. We pulled a quote for FanDuel where he just said, "I have him exactly where I want him right now. He's going to be fast," and they're going to go for it on the pace. I mean, he's going to be out there and involved early. I'm sure White Abario will be as well. It's going to be fast, but the Baffert horses, they don't get rank. They're quick, but they're not runoffs. So he'll be up and involved.
Yeah, and it's interesting because of the team aspect, because they have goal-oriented and Citizen Bull also in the race, and not sure exactly. Obviously, you can only do so much, but the beauty about Nisos is that the horse is just, I mean, anytime a horse has the ability to get to the front but doesn't need to and has the best late pace in the race, I mean, that's quite the great situation. Worried that the price, especially if Baffert keeps saying things like that, it's going to be way less than 8-5, would pretty much guarantee. But it is the Breeders' Cup, and there's enough great horses in the race that you hope that you don't have to take too much of a hit. And the defending champ shows up in here. Also, I mean, Full Serrano, very good horse as well, and 3 for 3 at this distance. So I mean, people will see that. But the main issues that I see are Citizen Bull and goal oriented being if one of them gets left alone on the front end for some reason and it's a slow pace. And I also worry about goal oriented cutting back in distance finally, which I think is always what goal oriented needed to do. Those horses are scary to me because we haven't seen it yet. They're finally doing it, giving up the dreams of the longer races. And that sometimes wakes a horse up like to a huge extent, and it's Baffert who could easily do that. So I mean, he's got a strong hand in here, obviously. And then you also even have a Derby winner. I mean, it's a really cool race. I mean, you got the Derby winner, and then you have Chancer McPatrick, who's had some success, and I know Ben's quite a fan of.
My big baby boy.
Yeah. So I mean, you've just got so many options here if Nisos doesn't run, but I'll be singling Nisos and everything, unless he's like 2 to 5. But and I won't even know it because I'll be alive just hopefully so much in the horizontals that I'll have to take whatever price actually happens. So I can protect somewhere else if the prices get inflated on some of the other contenders. But and even I forgot to even say Whiteabaro. That's how stacked this field is. I'm not sure this is the best spot from the 10 hole for him, but I mean, you never know. I mean, there's just so many great horses in some of these races this year. It's crazy. That we'll talk more about the Classic later in Sovereignty, but I mean, I'd see it's such a competitive mile, such a competitive Classic, and yet I was still going to single Sovereignty and Nisos. So that's so weird. Like, that's so weird, right? I mean, that's how good I think those two horses are. But it's like
I feel like it's very rare for you to have a bias like you do. You know, we've had a couple shows together now, and I don't think I've ever heard that out of you before. So that's interesting. Honestly, for me, that's like, okay, now I'm even more honed in on Nisos.
I had future bets on the horse to win the Classic. Those obviously are not going to win. But it's I just think the horse still has like one race that you're going to see and you're going to be like, oh wow. But we'll see. Got to do it on the racetrack. So I'm very excited about this race though.
I think you're right in terms of the original plan too, hoping for the Pacific Classic and then the Breeders' Cup Classic. And now, he's backed him up, but he's sharpening him up, putting a little bit more speed into him because Baffert knew how, deep the Classic looked and how difficult it was going to be to train him for 1.25 miles off that kind of a layoff, but he can really get him ready to fire at the mile and send him out there. Ben, I'm curious, are you going to go with Chancer McPatrick or are you looking elsewhere here?
No, I think Scott hit it on the head with Nisos, and I'll just spoil it. I do love Mindframe for the Classic, and if he was able to beat Nisos, then all right, I'll concede on that.
Crazy race,
crazy 4-horse finish. Oh my gosh,
I was alive to like 50 to 100,000 to Nisos.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Yeah,
we'll try not to show that replay.
Oh, that was sick.
Yeah.
Great race if you didn't have money on it, but oh man, that was hard.
That was one of the greatest finishes I've seen in a while.
Wild, and they're all coming for so wide, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna run by these, and then sure enough, that was a good race.
One of the best races of the year, certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to circle back to the Classic. I just want to remind everybody one more time that promo code in case you heard it earlier, maybe didn't get the chance to write it down. The promo code is BC99. BC99. Free Equibase Premium PPs for all the Breeders' Cup races are on Equibase.com, courtesy of the Breeders' Cup. You could be following along with us. Also, that Racelands Breeders' Cup special offer, that's the one I'm mentioning. $99 Racelands quarterly subscriptions. It's usually a $299 fee for that. So you're getting $200 off with the promo code BC99. So we are recording this Equibase Racelands podcast on Tuesday. And as of Tuesday morning, there were some reports that Sovereignty spiked a fever. His status is very much in jeopardy in terms of the Breeders' Cup Classic this year, unfortunately, for the Derby winner. Bill Mott has said he's going to, of course, monitor this over the next 24, 48 hours. So we're going to talk about the Classic just under two scenarios here. We're going to start by talking about the Classic with him still in the field and as part of the field. And then we have to adjust should he scratch in the next, 2-3 days. How do you adjust your handicapping? How do you change your tickets if Sovereignty was the horse for you? For me, it changes everything. Sovereignty was going to be or is going to be my top pick if he stays in the race for Bill Mott. I don't think we've seen the best of this horse. I think the opportunity for him to sit a little bit closer to the pace, which is what we saw from him in the Belmont. We saw it in the Jim Dandy. We saw it in the Travers, that 115 by our speed figure that he put up. Really exceptional horse. And I love the fact that Bill Mott is also training him off a little bit of a break and keeping him very fresh. It was very controversial for him to skip the Preakness this year, but there's times when, you miss those races and that's what provides the opportunity for some of the bigger efforts down the line. And I think holding him through the fall, getting ready for this race, if we get to see Sovereignty compete, you're going to see the best version of Sovereignty. And at Del Mar, it is a shorter stretch than he's used to. It's definitely a shorter stretch than what he encountered at Saratoga, certainly than what he encountered at Churchill Downs. The Del Mar stretch is very slightly longer than the Gulfstream Park stretch. And I do think it's worth noting that he did end up second in the Florida Derby, just kind of going wide, not getting that momentum going. But as I mentioned, he's kind of changed a little bit and he's able to sit closer to the pace. Bill Mott off the layoff. It's the same stat that I pulled with Baffert and Seismic Beauty. Winner last out into stakes races off the break. We're talking like 29% wins for Bill Mott as far as the angle goes. So Sovereignty for me, if he remains in the field, he is going to be my top selection. Scott, if Sovereignty is in, is he your top pick?
Yeah, I'm going to hope that I can find the winner of that turf race in between. I'm going to single Sovereignty and I'm going to single Nisos and play a pick 3. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I let the horse beat me earlier in the year, but never again. He became the horse I thought journalism was going to be. And in any other year, journalism probably would have a lot of wins. But, I mean, it's just, and Baeza too. I mean, it's been one of the most competitive 3-year-old seasons I've seen, and it's awesome. It's great for racing. But this horse is just on another level. And absolutely, I mean, because they were put the horse first or put their plan first, whatever you want to call it, and skip the Preakness, I guess I'll have confidence if they say he's okay to run Saturday. I guess that means they're only doing it if the horse is no issues, 100%. They're not going to risk anything. So I guess I'm going to have to trust them and single if he's running. And if he's not, man, like I said, it's crazy that I'm going to single a horse in this race, because if you look at all the names in this race, it's wild. Like there's like a stacked amount of people that could win this race. So honing on it one is going to be awfully tough. But if I had to, as much as I love journalism, I'm not going to let him go. I mean, he's going to be on some tickets as a fan, but my top pick would be, I guess, Sierra Leone. 1 for 1 in the Breeders' Cup Classic, 100% win rate. Ran a huge race last year, likes the track. And sometimes I feel like you worry about whether they're going to take the Del Mar or not, but obviously proved that was no issue last year, ran a big race. Obviously got a nice setup though, so it's concerning. But I mean, so many things, you're going to get a bigger price in this horse than you should. And you certainly were if Sovereignty were in the race, because of just some weird things that's happened. I mean, broke horribly and then ended up being a super slow pace, and that's where Mindframe got him. And then won a race, got a pretty favorable setup in the Whitney, but won it no problem. And then in the last race, you had that really weird situation where Mindframe gets, goes wild and tosses the rider, and then somehow Sierra Leone and Flavian jump over Irad in the stretch, and all that stuff in the back where Sierra Leone was had to dodge a horse and then dodge a jockey and had to veer sideways, and all these things had him just way out of position, where I know the horse is a closer and didn't hurt that much, but I mean it hurt plenty, and that horse was still trying so hard. This horse tries so hard, and that's one thing I can say about putting my money on this horse. I know that horse is going to give everything he's got. And I do think there's a world in which the pace gets a little bit goofy. I mean, and there's a rabbit. I mean, their rabbit is in here. I mean, Contrary Thinking is just a dead send. I mean, ran just a ridiculous pace figure in that race. And then because Sierra Leone was so far away, their plan kind of didn't work out so well because he had to do all that, the gymnastics in the back to start the race. But I don't know how close anybody's going to try to stay, because they're nobody's going to be worried about Contrary Thinking. But and I love Fierceness. I was a huge fan of Fierceness last year, but man, already draws the rail again and almost hit the rail last time. That was really strange, that whole race, but still overcame it. So that was a huge effort. I wouldn't fault anybody for going there. I can make a case for half the field, and if we go horse by horse, we can try to do that. But I don't want to waste too much time. If I had to pick right now and Sovereignty's in, it's Sovereignty. If he's not, I'm leaning Sierra Leone.
Dan, how about you? Are you team Sovereignty if he's in the race? And if he isn't, where do you sort of pivot, and how does that change your gambling strategy?
Yes, definitely team Sovereignty if he's in. He's the best 3-year-old we've got out there, and I think he'll run a great race, and I'm sure that Bill Mott will only let him run if he's sound. There's just too much value that he has. And I'm going to land on Fierceness if Sovereignty doesn't run. I'd have Fierceness over Forever Young. And then I'd see, there could be a whole slither of horses that could come in third there. That's where I'd probably be putting Sierra Leone and Journalism, Nevada Beach, Antiquarian, but I'd be on Team Fierceness. I agree with Scott. It was kind of weird in the Pacific Classic, but then if you watch that replay, it sort of seemed to help the horse settle. And you don't see Fierceness settle too often, but he did after he rebounded back, after he almost hit the rail there. And I think it put him in a good place. And I'm sure Pletcher was definitely worried about this. So I'm sure they've been thinking about it the whole time as they prepared for this race. So that's where my second opinion would be.
Yeah, I think Fierceness really loves Del Mar too. I mean, you can go back to the Classic last year. That was the fastest half mile in the history of the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he wasn't too far off that pace and held on to finish second. I think it's a pretty clear argument that can be accepted that Fierceness ran one of the best races last year in the Classic. He didn't come up the winner, but he really showed up. He ran a huge race in the Pacific Classic despite all that trouble. Ben, as you're up here, I'm kind of curious to start this discussion with contrary thinking. We know he's going to go. But where do you see Fierceness and where do you see Nevada Beach in relation to that? And do they care and are they capable of going that fast anyways? And do they just run their own race and maybe those two get away from everybody else?
I think Nevada Beach definitely has to go, but Fierceness has the talent to be able to stay back, I think. I mean, he's always been close to the lead, but he has opportunity to kind of stay back if he wants to, if they're all going to come in on him. Which they might, but it's not a huge field, so maybe not. And he might get a jump first, but I definitely think Nevada Beach more than Fierceness is a must lead type of horse.
Is it Sovereignty for you, Ben, if he's still in the field, or are you still going, you kind of tipped your cap a little bit. Is Mindframe your guy?
I did, yeah. Gave a little teaser there, that time of year at the breeding shed. But no, I do love Sovereignty. I think this horse is just really, truly something special. Since breaking his maiden back in the Grade 3 Street since his third career start, he really hasn't looked back. And he mentioned the short stretch winning the Grade 2 Fountain Youth at Gulfstream. Apologies, I only set the parameters to 5 races back. I should have done all. But that was the race before here from the Florida Derby. So he's able to rally late on a short stretch as well. This horse is just amazing. But yeah, just very, very concerned. And, based on the Preakness stuff, Scott, you had an amazing point. If they're going to run him, he's going to be 100%. So I am on Team Sovereignty, but if he's not running, I'm going to go with Mindframe. I thought this 10-1 was just almost too good to be true. Probably not going to get that if Sovereignty's out, but Mindframe and Baez are the two most lightly raced horses in this group, both be making their 9th career start. However, Mindframe, he's a 4-year-old, and as we all know, Baez is a 3-year-old. But Mindframe started his career in March as a 3-year-old. On his first 2 starts by a combined winning margin of 21 1/4 lengths. He goes on to run second by a half length to Dornoch 2024 Belmont Stakes, and just the 3rd start of his career, beating classic contenders in here, Sierra Leone and Antiquarian. Talked about the Jockey Club Gold Club there. But following the Belmont, he comes right back to run second again, other than Dornoch in the Grade 1 Haskell in July. Then he takes a nearly 8-month layoff. He resurfaces in March of 2025. Since then, been pretty dang perfect, honestly. Won the Gulfstream Park Mile by a length and a quarter. And comes back on Kentucky Derby Day and rallies late to take that Grade 1 Churchill Downs Stakes like we were talking about in that epic 4-horse finishing with Banishing. Nice Host dead heating for second. Nice Host coming right back to win back-to-back graded stakes by combined 8 1/4 lengths. And then Bookham Daniel finished 4th. Went on to win 3 straight graded stakes races, including that Grade 1 Forgo Stakes at Saratoga last time out. But Mindframe, following that Churchill Downs, that was at 7 furlongs. He goes back to the route distance, then wins the Grade 1 Stephen Foster Stakes by a length, earning a career best and best in this field, 118 Equibase speed figure. You can see it down there. Going mile and 1/8 and 147.48, just 0.22 seconds off that track record, beating Sierra Leone in here. And also Dubai World Cup winner Hit Show, who has since won a couple stakes races, including that Grade 3 Fayette Stakes last time out on closing day at Keeneland. That was a very stacked field as well. And last time out in that Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Club, very is scary, but probably one of the greatest pictures we've ever seen with Irad Ortiz hanging on to mind frame and White Barrio. Scary situation, but very cool picture, if you will. He just never really had a chance to run there. So besides that, he's been basically perfect his entire career, earning a triple-digit Equibase speed figure in every start that he finished, with 5 wins and those 2 seconds to Dornoch, Belmont, and the Haskell. So, he's all okay after that last start, been working well at Saratoga since the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he's able to win off the pace as a presser and a front runner. So honestly, whatever this race throws at him, I think he's pretty well prepared. And even with the presence of Sovereignty, he is ranked first in here in late pace rating with a massive 127. Been able to beat Sierra Leone twice, 10-1. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll take that value.
Very, very good value if you get it. I think you will on Mindframe. Certainly the price will come down, obviously, if we do end up with the defection of Sovereignty. But I couldn't decide between the 3 Pletchers myself. Like, as I'm reorganizing my thoughts without Sovereignty in the race, if that happens, I could see a scenario where Fierceness wins. I can see a scenario where Mindframe wins. I think Antiquarian's numbers on the main track are improving. And he's a little bit of a sneaky horse. It's easy to overlook the Jockey Club Gold Cup because of what happened there with the spill at the start of the race. And it almost felt like you got a little bit of a head start on Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone still was right there and nearly caught him. But he is improving. And I think if you consider an improving horse from Todd Pletcher's barn, that should have no problem, transferring his form here to the West Coast. I can't really forget about him either. Let's just have a quick word on a couple of the horses that we haven't touched on in here. Piazza. Scott, is there any scenario in your mind where Piazza shocks the world and wins the Breeders' Cup Classic this year?
I mean, very small, just because I do think the horse is getting better, but I mean, needed to dodge both, Sovereignty and Journalism to finally get that win, and that's a problem unless they both scratch. I mean, and plus there's other talent in here. I just think could be one of those later developing horses where you see as the 4-year-old season starts going really well. I mean, we've seen horses like Gunrunner and horses like that. He comes to mind where I could see like a huge season next year if they decide to keep racing him. But I loved McKinsey, great sire, but it's just, I don't know. I think a lot would have to go right for Piazza to win.
I agree with that. His work was very good. He's training really well. I thought his most recent work, October 25th at Santa Anita, was one of the best ones actually of the entire breakfast show. So I think you're going to get a big race from him, but it does look like he needs to improve with some of these others. Dan, I'll come back to you on Forever Young. That effort that he ran in the Saudi Cup, I thought was incredible. I thought that was actually one of the best races of the entire year with Romantic Warrior. Do you think he gets back to that kind of race, and would it take a performance like that to win the Classic this year in California?
Yes, I think it would take a performance like that to win the Classic here in California. I believe after that Dubai race that they pointed Forever Young towards this Breeders' Cup race. Last year he ran 3rd after having a troubled trip coming out, and he had the 1 position, or the the 1 hole coming out. So I believe that from that experience, Forever Young is going to have a very good race. And I believe that of the Japanese contingent that they brought over, he's probably the best horse that's in the crew.
Yeah, you make a good point about him catching the rail last year and being stuck in that position. Do you think with the pace that we're going to have this year, of course, with the Rabbit, with Contrary Thinking, how much further back will Forever Young be? And is that a good thing for him?
I think so. I think saving energy is going to be a great thing, and he's going to make a good run. I don't see him all the way at the back with Sierra Leone and everybody, but I see him running mid-pack, probably right behind Fierceness, and I think that's a great horse to run behind.
We talked about Sierra Leone. We talked about Mindframe. Ben, I'll go to you with Journalism. He gets a little freshening. He gets a little bit of a time at home here. It's his home track. Everybody's shipping in to his neck of the woods. He has the new rider with Jose Ortiz. Journalism, I get the feeling that he's a horse everybody's kind of rooted for all year. He's obviously had his big moments in the Sun and the Preakness and the Haskell, but I think he has it in him, especially if Sovereignty scratches. You have to consider Journalism as a fresh horse in this race.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, look at that pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I mean, here we go. But I've loved this horse from the beginning, ever since that Losal race beating the other Baffords. I mean, what a fighter. Never finished out of the money in his career. Second in the Derby, first in the Preakness, second in the Belmont. Non-consecutive races with a triple-digit Equibase speed figure. Like you said, broke his maiden here in his second career start at Del Mar. I think he's been working superb in the mornings, and I know that all horses right now are looking just amazing on that breakfast at the Breeders' Cup, but I think him especially. It just really catches my eye. I'll be honest, I'll just say it, I don't really agree with the jockey change. McCarthy and Ortiz, they're 0 for 6 together in all races together last 3 years. They're also 5 in the money, but I always thought Rispoli kind of got the best out of journalism, but Jose Ortiz is a very, very talented jockey, so I'm sure he'll be just fine, but I think it'll be interesting that Rispoli's not on it. He's just a tough horse, compete in every single Triple Crown race with a Preakness win, and then still come back to win the Grade 1 Haskell. So I'm going to add him for exotics, 100%. I think 10-1 could be generous, and it is a horse that people have seen time and time again, and they'll look at that distant second by 3 1/4 lengths to Fiercest last time out in the Del Mar or the Pacific Classic at Del Mar. But if he runs that pattern, he's a very talented horse. I'd say second best to Sovereignty at his height there in the Triple Crown, is obviously, as you can see from the running lines. But 10-1's solid on him, so I wouldn't count him out.
Yep. I agree, certainly, with journalism in there. And then we mentioned Antiquarian, improving pattern, interesting horse from the outside for Todd Pletcher. That's a quick look at our thoughts on some of the bigger races, the Distaff, the Classic, each of our individual races. One more reminder about that race to the NHC. It's a series of weekly exclusive free handicapping contests. Each week, 2 people move on up until February the 21st, where you get to the Racelands Final 50. From there, the top 2 will earn a spot into the NHC for 2026. And perhaps you can end up a winner like Scott Coles or Dan Piazza and be on this podcast with us at some point in the future. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Ben, thank you as well. And especially for running the product, showing us all the tools with Racelands. Appreciate it very much. And good luck, you guys, with all of your handicapping.
You as well, Christina.
We will see you all next time here on the Equibase Racelands podcast. And thanks one more time to our friends at morningline.io. Thanks to Kenny McPeak for taking some time from a busy week as well. Be sure to check out morningline.io if you want to get involved with some of the horses from his barn. We'll see you next time, and good luck on Championship Weekend.
Kenny McPeak and his champion horses are now a part of Morningline. With Morningline, I don't just watch the race. I invest in champions. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morningline. Own the game.